Okay, so in this demo, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and lead you through this analyze a small image step of the uh, Python My Vision workflow. So if I click on this, you'll get some instructions and hopefully some example output. So let's start at the beginning. Open a command prompt. So what you can do is you can go down to the little search button here and you can go command. And I've got multiple monitors going on here, so the window popped up in a different monitor, but I'm going to drag that across here. Resize the windows a little bit. Right, change the directory to Python code folder of your repository. So where did you put your Python code? Well, let's go and try and find that. So if I type in Explorer here, I want the File Explorer, so I can do that. Again, that opened up in a different window, so I'm dragging that across. And if you followed the instructions, that should be in trying desperately to find my C drive. There's C, users, there's my user, there's my GitHub folder, there's Python MyVision. So in the Python MyVision folder, there's Python code and there's demos. So in the Python code, there's Python code. If you go back to the demos, you can see example A. So we're going to run example A shortly. And let's have a look in this example A folder. So we can see three things here. We can see the raw image. So here's the raw image. We're just going to try and run this in a very small, simple test. That looks good. If we go to the configuration data, this is a file in what's called XML format. That's just a text file that looks something like this, and it's split up into different sections. At the moment, the one that you care about is this task section. Here's the raw image file string. So here's a relative path. So we're going to run this from the Python code. So we're going to run this from the Python code folder. And so to get to the demos folder, we need to go back up one level and then down into the demos folder. So you do that with the dot dot. That's a relative path. Demos example A, raw image, and there's the file. So this is just pointing to the file that we're going to look at. And we want the results to go in demos example A results. So we're going to make a new results folder here. These are some parameters that are explained elsewhere in the documentation. Here's a classification model file string. So we need some way of knowing what the blobs are. And so that is going to be done by this classification model. And elsewhere in the documentation, you learn how to make one of these. So in this configuration file, you want to pass it the image file, where you want the results to go, some parameters to do with turning this into blobs, specification or pointing to a classification file, and then these are some parameters to do with once you've found blobs, trying to get the blobs to match closely to the edges. That's the snake bit of the water snake algorithm that MyVision uses. In this case, we're actually using what's called an adaptive contour method. So you can learn more about them elsewhere in the documentation. So that's the folder structure, and I'm going to go back here so we can see this. I'm going to close this image, and now if you look at the documentation, it will say move to this. So one way you can do that is you can just copy that line of code into there. Except I need to put in my username. KSCamp3, good. So I'm in the right directory. So now this command window is sitting in this Python code, so this matches up. Now what I want to do, I'm going to zoom back here so you can see the demos folder. So we're in there. Now what I want to do is type in this command. So I can just copy and paste that in. Away we go, press go. Wait a couple of seconds, now we go, now we've got some stuff. What you might just have seen in here is now we've got a new folder in here called results. So here's my results folder. This is now finished, and in results we can see the clean overlay. We can see the annotated overlay. We can see an Excel file. So here's an Excel file. So in this case, blob number 1 has an area of 252 and a variety of other metrics. For example, the perimeter is 223. Blob number 2, which is this one here, looks like this. And then if you look in processing zip, you can see blocks. So we did some block processing. And this, again, is explained elsewhere in the documentation, but this is showing some of the steps that go into the automated image analysis. If we go back up to classification steps, we can see many images. So again, this is explained in the documentation. I'll show you where that is. That's explained in the documentation here. Now go to what Maya Vision did. So it's explaining the algorithm workflow. And these are the images that correspond to that. So we can flip through these. You can see, for example, here's the saturated image. Here's the initial segmentation and so on. So that's it. You have taken your Python code and you have analyzed a small image, and out of it you got this annotated overlay and the Excel file that goes with it. Okay, thank you.